Well, when I was in school, I worked with the NACP as a youth, and I always was uncomfortable with segregation and discrimination. Always. I could go back to the club, night billy club in my stomach. I could go back to the things that my father and my family went through, and it was always a conflict with me about what the church was teaching and preaching, and what people who were members of the church were practicing, and it was incongruous. And I saw the gospel. I really, even before studying, I saw it holistically. I just didn't feel like you could separate the teachings of love and dignity of humanity, and I couldn't reconcile that to segregation and discrimination and the back of the bus and that kind of stuff. So it sort of was it was never a difficult transition for me, and all through my ministry, I never broke my ministry down into spiritual and secular. I reject that concept of life. To me, all of life is spiritual. That the earth is the Lord's, and that includes the Sunday service and the Saturday party. All of it belongs to the Lord, and you have to live in accordance with His will, with love and mutual respect. One of my favorite sermons today is one I preached at the National Cathedral in Washington in November year before last. It's called RESPECT. It was Georgia Day at the cathedral, and they invited me to preach. So I preached a song that was written by a Georgian and a fellow who wrote Dock of the Bay also wrote RESPECT, and I preached it there because it sums up the love and dignity that we must afford each other and pour out to each other. And I think that the world needs to understand that what we need to do is, and what the terrorists in part are crying out for, on behalf of those who don't seem to get any RESPECT. And I think America has to hear that message, that we cannot exist comfortably as an isle of plenty in the midst of a sea of deprivation and want. And I think RESPECT. So it was not a difficult thing. The difficult thing was agreed to go ahead and go home and do that trial sermon. So before I went to school, that was a difficult thing. But otherwise, it was, and I've had a good ministry. God knows that a half century could never have been. I'm a little mad at Maya Angelou, because she wrote a book called I Wouldn't Take Nothing from a Journey. And that was the title I wanted. Because I wouldn't take nothing from my journey. The opportunity to work with people, to help people find themselves, to help them find the Lord. And by finding the Lord and themselves, it goes together. You find them both sort of concomitantly there. And that has been a great blessing for me. And the fact that I have had successful pastors where people have responded to my ministry and so forth. And I never separated my work with SCLC and civil rights from my ministry. It was all tied together. I never felt you could teach people to make heaven their home without teaching them to make their homes here heavenly. And when you talk about making your home here heavenly, you're talking about justice, and an end to hunger, and an end to homelessness, and an end to want. Respect, RESPECT, for one another, dignity, peace in the world. So it was just, I always felt comfortable. Once I made up my mind, I floundered no more.